the thing about the web, I mean, going back to the whole, like, you know, pulling people from YouTube, I think what we always forget about the web is mainly we go there for connection. Like, people go there initially to check the news, to check their emails, to figure out what's going on. And if they get, like, something in their feed or something, and it's like a video, it's like, oh, check it out, but they're not initially going there to see a show per se, or to see, unless, I think we're starting to get accustomed to that, and starting to kind of like, but it's not like TV where it's like, there's no promotional tool where it's like 8 o'clock every, you know, Sunday, there's a new show coming and it's drilled to you for the past 3 months at 8 o'clock on Sunday, will be a new show for you to watch. There's no promotional kind of tool like that online, and so it's like, you have to think in that way. It's like, well, how will people find me online? It's really based on connection, it's really based on search, it's really based on like what the web is, you know, and then figuring out how to pull all that information and then make a story, then kind of, you know, brings the more traditional kind of sense. I think there's a good balance there. It's just a matter of knowing where you're working in, the medium that you're working in, and not treating it like, well, it's going to put up a beautiful story, and then that's okay.
Yeah, we tried to do that with the web, and I started working for Wired in 1994. So this is like early web, and we tried to do narrative, and they did not work. People would not do episodic shit, ever. Right. It was like, come back same time next week for your next episode. It's not going to happen. People want to see the holistic, you know, deep narrative, and we are still, you know, the same questions that we were asking in 1994, which is, how do you monetize it? How can we create content which is deep and rich and will catch people in the first 5 seconds of their experience, because they're clicking next, they're clicking next, they're clicking next. And, you know, the old forms of narrative need to be smashed and recreated in this, like, you know, holistic way.
But you do still need a story, and I don't quite agree with you that people don't come back and see. I mean, Zadi's right about, like, the time. I mean, people don't even, I don't even know what time any of the shows I watch on broadcast television are on.
Anymore, right?
I don't know what
I don't even know there anymore.
I mean, nobody knows that. But people do want, I mean, throughout the history of human beings, they've wanted stories.
Yes,
so
yes, they want the story,
definitely. The story, but I think, you know, a big part of, you know, taking, you know, when we made this time, like, are you taking your content creation seriously? For me, it's not only the level of creativity that you're using, but also, somebody said here earlier, you can't just throw it up and think that people are going to watch it. You got to know who's your niche audience and what combination of niche audiences you're trying to hit, and then where do they live online? Because it's more like direct mail marketing than it is appointment television. It's not like, oh, everybody come to ABC to watch this stuff, or everybody come to this theater to watch this movie. It's, you know, and you all know this. You know, you've got to take it to. You know, like I'm writing this project for Warner Brothers, and it's got 15-year-old girls at private schools. So I put together these focus groups of 15-year-old girls who go to private schools in Los Angeles, and wanted to hear their cadence as a writer, but also wanted to know, like, where are you? I assume you're online. Are you online a lot? Where are you online? And then, you know, about magazines and all this. You know, are you buying analog, or are you looking at this digitally, and all this kind of information. It was really interesting to hear that. They live on Facebook. That's it. Not true of the boys in this age group. You know, they're everywhere. It's interesting to hear how they feel about, you know, scripted content, where they're seeing it, and because where they're seeing it, they have assumptions about whether or not watching it in certain places is legal, which I think we're doing them I think we're doing this next generation a big disservice with all this piracy bullshit. I think a lot of what's mentioned as piracy is not fucking piracy. It's, you know, okay, I have a DVD and I watch it and then I hand it to you to check out.
It's a mixtape.
It's a mixtape.
There's a wonderful documentary on Hulu, which I think is fantastic, by the way, called Before the Music Dies, which is all about that. So.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have different. I mean, to me, if somebody takes something that I created and steals it and then goes and sells it to somebody else and doesn't give me a cut, Now, that's a problem, but I feel like a lot of the, to me, that's piracy. A lot of the traditional media, I feel like, look, the bottom line is you want to get into the digital world. I mean, I know music was like forced into the digital world, right? So it's like you want to get in the digital world, you want to start passing around digital files. You just moved into a neighborhood where if you put a couch on the curb, that means to this neighborhood that you can take it. Now, if you're going to put a couch out and they get pissed off about it, and then put another one out, and then watch, and somebody, oh my God, somebody took that couch. You go, okay, you got to rethink this because you keep doing it, you keep putting it out there, and you keep getting upset that people are taking it. Now, once you recognize that you are in a neighborhood where that's common practice, so why don't you do something else? Why don't you make sure your couch is a holographic representation? I'm just throwing an idea out there, right? Like, think bigger about it. You know, you want people to see your product and to pass it around, right? But you want to be able to monetize it. Okay. So what if it's a holographic representation? And then every time, then that person takes it, and then when they pass it to somebody else, another copy is made, and the data comes back to you about where it was passed to, and there's actually a paywall on each one of these. I'm just like, I'd like to be talking to the astrophysicists, right? You know, and like they've got to be smarter about, you know, if 60% of all video online is watched via people passing it around, then everybody who wants to make money off of a digital file, and it's where it's not connected with any advertising, that's currency in itself, getting it passed around. I feel like I have to put a lot more time and energy into developing the technological means of monetizing those pieces. People are doing your distribution for you. It's fantastic. Now get smart about how you're going to monetize it. That's all. Don't be like, you know, because then you wind up having this, you know, next generation that like thinks if you didn't buy it from iTunes, you're stealing it. It's illegal the way you're watching it. Like, and I try to impress on them, like, look, if there's an ad attached, if you're not downloading a file from Pirate Bay, like, you're okay. And they're like, that's not, that shouldn't.
Well, you can do MIT Creative License, which is kind of coming up, which is really strong.
Yeah, those are still, I mean,
it encourages people to share, so they don't feel bad about sharing. And then they'll come back to your site, and there will be a thread in the way, like you're saying, that will bring back to you. It's starting to be an interesting movement. I like the idea.
I think those are great ideas, and I think the problem right now is that there's no standard. Like, there's no way to know what a video view is because everybody calculates it differently, and all these companies are not talking to each other. There's no nonprofit body. There is now kind of starting that they can talk to this nonprofit body, and then they disseminate information back and kind of figure out a standard in a way. What is a view? Is it when you click play and that counts as a view? Is it once you go halfway through and that's a view? Or is it watching it all the way through and being completely engaged and is that a view? Everyone calculates it differently, so how can you monetize something that everyone thinks calculates differently? So I think until that standard, and that's scary to a lot of people because creating standards then closes up a lot of possibilities. But then what's the greater good here? Is it people being able to monetize and make money at their craft, or is it?
And even that is like it's. Look, the Nielsen ratings, I mean, what do they poll, like 1,400 households?
Yeah, it's bullshit.
And there's 100 million TV viewing households. That's not, I mean, that,
and I talked
how
to
is that
somebody.
even a poll? It's
I've never seen one of those.
I talked to a friend who had that. I talked to
of the household.
a friend of mine has a
relying on
Nielsen
that.
rating box thing, and
So
he
what
says
constitutes a view on that?
it's bullshit because literally it's a box and you tell it how many people are in the room, what they're watching. So I can say I'm having a viewing party for Gossip Girl and there are 50 girls here, 50 people, and that's the information that they get.
Does it record whether or not you watch the entire show?
No,
or
it's just
part
like
of it?
it's just literally you punching in or whatever, telling it what it is that you're watching. It's not I don't know.
It's not connected to your cable.
It's connected, but I don't know. You know, that's what he told me. Like, it's really bullshit because I can tell how many people are in the living room, and it doesn't necessarily